Welcome, Marla and Shanice, and thank you guys for joining us on the Lamont N Leah podcast. Can I take that
Parcast.
again? Can I
No,
please take that?
no,
Yes.
no.
Leah, you're
You gotta
not
li-
putting that
you gotta leave your
in.
mistakes in there. That's how you
No.
learn.
I'm Lamont,
And I'm Leia.
and you're tuning into the
The Lamont
Lamont
and
and
Leia
Leah podcast.
podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lamont and Leah podcast. March is Disability Awareness Month.
Very cool. And Lamont, what are we going to be talking about today?
Today, we're going to be talking about disability awareness, among other things. I'm really hoping that our guests will share some of their personal stories on why they decided to become advocates in this particular arena.
Maybe. I think that's a good word.
Yeah.
Speaking of guests, I know we have two. Who are they?
So, we have one guest. She is a nurse practitioner and business owner, and her name is Marla Green. And then we also have transformational and empowerment mindset coach, disability advocate, and fellow podcaster from the Believe podcast, Shanice Green, which I believe there's no relation.
I was just about to ask.
However, we will find out.
We need to know the tea. If there is any. It might just be water. All right. Sounds great. Let's go get them and let's get started.
Welcome, Marla and Shanice. Thank you for joining us on the Lamont and Leah podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
All right, so as I was putting the outline together and I was putting your guys' name in, both of your guys' last name is Green, and I just want to make sure there's no relation.
I don't think so.
I mean, not that I know of, but I wouldn't put it past my family.
All
All
right.
right, there's our answer, folks.
So, Marla, would you please take a moment to introduce yourself to our listener and viewer audience and explain maybe why you want to be on the podcast? And then, Shanice, would you do the same after Marla?
Yeah.
Sure. My name is Marla Green, and I am a family nurse practitioner. I'm also a business owner. I own Educatrix Advanced Practice Seminars, and that is a business. We hold events that provide continuing education credits, primarily for nurses and nurse practitioners, and they need those continuing education credits so that they can maintain their licensure and certifications. So the reason why I was really excited to be on this show today is because we are highlighting disability awareness. And not to give my story away too much, but I have experienced disability. And so I was just excited to be able to speak on this topic because it's something that's near and dear to my heart. And yeah, you'll have to stay tuned to hear my story.
Excellent.
So I am Shanice Green. I am a transformational and empowerment mindset coach and also a disability advocate. And the reason I wanted to be on this podcast is simply because I feel that it's really important to raise awareness for disabilities. I won't go too much into my story, but I am disabled myself. And growing up with a disability, I feel that I just want my children's life to just be better around disability and more open.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm responsible for this topic today. Thank you. No, a lot of my ideas for episodes come from TikTok. I've said it a bunch. I love TikTok. And I was watching a few, and like a few different TikToks about the ADA and disability advocacy, and like medical things that happen came up, and I was like, how come I've never heard of this? And what can I do? Because like they were just like putting down, like some of them were putting down like facts, like percentages and like stuff in regards to like how much there is available and what resources are available and just how many people have disabilities. And I was just like, okay, we need to talk about this because I feel like people who aren't involved in these communities or don't have a disability or don't know someone may not even be aware that this is happening. So yes, I'm very glad that you guys can join us today.
Yes, me too. So, to get this conversation started, let's talk about the best way to describe a disability or explain a disability.
Shanice, I'll let you go first.
Okay, so a disability, when you look it up, okay, it says that it's a limitation. I do not like the word limitation because I believe that we all have a limitation. We all have things that we can't do as good as someone else, you know. I don't really like the word disability either. I'm quite controversial. But no, it's true. You know, we do things, we do have limitations, okay, we do, and we have to learn to be able to adapt to do things a little bit differently. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say on disability.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, I'm with Shanice, so I think we are related. So I don't really care for the word disability either.
Okay.
But I'm one of those people that don't really care for labels. So yeah, it's hard for me because not only do I have medical problems, you know, my son has ADD. And so to think of him as having a disability and to frame that for him, you know, didn't work for me. So so yeah, I think that disability means different things to different people. So as far as the government is concerned, you know, then yeah, we'll go with whatever the dictionary says. But otherwise, you know, I think it's a personal thing, and you know, you have to decide what words you want to use.
What are some other terms or words that we could use? Because I also don't like it, but like I don't I don't know any other words that I could use because that's all I've been taught. I'm always open to learning better phrases that would make people feel more, what's the word, Lamont?
Comfortable,
Comfortable and
Included.
seen,
thank you.
valued.
Thank you. Yes. See, all
All those.
yes,
All
those.
those.
All of those.
Yeah. With my son, you know, with his ADD, I mean, I the way that we talk about it is that, you know, he's just different. You know, I mean, you know, we're just different. And it's okay to be different. It's actually fun to be different because you wouldn't want to be the same person, you know, the same as everybody else. You know, the world wouldn't be fun if we were cookie cutter.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's the word that I use. And then, you know, when I'm talking about myself, I really use the word chronic pain more than disabled. I tend to refer to what I'm experiencing than what, you know, than calling myself disabled. Because, and the reason why I do that is because usually when people think of disability, they want to see something physical, right?
Right.
You know, they want, you know, they want you to be hobbling along, or they want you to be on a cane, on a walker, you know, they want to see some devastation of some kind of something on your body. And when they don't see that, they're like, yeah, whatever, you're not really disabled. You know, you're just here for a check, or, you know, you're just here for the license plate, or, whatever the preconception is.
Well, actually, I am in a chariot. That's what I call it. I'm not in a wheelchair. I'm in
I love
a
that.
chariot. Yeah, I'm in a
Love
chariot.
Yeah.
And I do, it is, the correct terminology is disabled, it is having a disability. And I've never known any other word for it. I just know I just don't like it. I just feel that everyone's a little bit different, and that's just what makes the world absolutely amazing.
Absolutely.
We all have things that makes us special, because we're all special and we're all enough. But yeah, I'm in a chariot, and I do understand other people like to see, I don't know what it is, but they think that, if you're disabled, it actually has to be physical. Yes, mine's physical, but if I am sat in a car and the amount of stairs that I get until I get out of the car and get into my wheelchair, there's just so many, just because I can sit up, and I'm sitting in the car, and I look like, from here, I look, like anyone else, basically. I don't know how to put it. But as soon as I get out, then it's okay, now I can turn my head back. Why should we stare? Because they don't look physically disabled, but it's not just physical, it's not always visual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's just my opinion.
All right. So, disability awareness is the practice of knowing and acknowledging, accepting, and including experiences as they relate to a person being disabled. Knowing and being aware and moving beyond our level of comfort is a great key in understanding wellness. So, why is spreading awareness important?
And I mean, that's another hot button topic too, is wellness. People are starting to explore what really is wellness. You had to look a certain way to be well. And now, people are realizing that you don't have to look, a certain cookie cutter way to be well, that you can be well at different sizes, that you can be well, in different, states. That wellness doesn't mean just physically, that wellness also means mentally, and other things. So, that's another hot button issue. So, yeah. What was the question? See, I'm sorry.
No worries. No worries.
Went to the left.
That's right.
Why is spreading awareness important?
For disability? Because I think, like we've been talking about, because I'm hesitant to say everybody, but disability is not always physical, right? So just because you don't see somebody being disabled doesn't mean that they're not. And I know that, a lot of, in my situation, I've run into that a lot, just because, people don't see what they in their mind consider to be disabled, then they don't understand why I can't work like normal people can, So I think it's important because people need to be more compassionate towards others, even if they can't see it.
Yeah.
They need to open their mind up a little and realize that, nobody wants to be disabled. But what about you, Shanice? What's been your experience?
To raise awareness, I'm going to say it straight to the point: inclusion.
Yep.
Inclusion. We all deserve to be aware of our surroundings, and be aware that not everyone's exactly the same, because actually, if not, we would live in a boring world, and for example, you're in America and I'm in the UK, we're all different, and that's what makes us all amazing, so no, it's inclusion. To me, the reason I like to I want to raise awareness is for other people to include people that maybe do things a little bit differently.
Yeah, yeah. Make it maybe just a little bit easier or a little bit more comfortable for them to take part in whatever they're trying to do that day.
Yeah, like who really wants to be stared at all the time, you know? I do, but I've grown up with that. So I have grown a backbone, if you say, but I shouldn't have to. And my children shouldn't have to see me get stared at. Yeah, okay, they don't notice it, but they're going to eventually. And that's not a nice way to live your life.
How old are your kids?
They are 8 and 10.
Oh, I was about to say 11, but no, he's not 11. I have a 10-year-old.
Speaking of being in different areas, I know that here in America we have the ADA. Is it a group? Is it a law? I'm not sure. I wish I knew. I should have looked this up.
It's an American Disability Act.
Act, yes. I was like, it's in the acronym somewhere.
So is it a policy then, or
Yeah.
Okay.
So I know we have that, and I know that it's decent. I know that I've heard that there could definitely be changes and more inclusion, keyword. But having never been to the UK myself, do you guys have anything similar? Like, what is the situation over there?
Over there.
Yeah.
No, we have the Disability Act as well, our own Disability Act. But like everywhere, you know, like over there, you know, there is definitely changes that could be made. You know, they are, so basically all new buildings have to be wheelchair accessible. But older buildings, the government will not fund for them to make it accessible. So depending on if you're in an area where there's more newer buildings, then older buildings will depend on if you can access them.
And it's probably an affordability issue too, right?
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly what I was gonna bring up, because the video that I was watching was also saying stuff like that. Like, older buildings are inaccessible, but they're usually within most people's like price range, whereas the newer buildings, while they are accessible, outpriced. So
even just to go, I think you call it the store, we call it like the shops, but it's exactly the same. Exactly the same. Like, it's actually ridiculous, but it is what it is. And you know, it's even like my mum has said to me, you know, she'll go into maybe a restaurant, or you know, she'll go, oh, Shanice, you'd love it, and then she's like, goes past it again, she's like, actually, I've just noticed you can't get into it, because of course, if you're able-bodied, you know, then you don't notice that it might have a step to go into it. You know, but that's just the way of the world, and hopefully we're going to live in a better world soon, you know, if we carry on raising awareness and stand for what we believe is right.
So could we quickly define able-bodied for maybe those people that may not know what that is?
So to me, able-bodied is somebody who can access the facilities, basically. So when shops or tourist places say that it's accessible for disabled or disability, they basically mean that they believe that all people that have disabilities in a wheelchair, so that's what they mean to be able to get in to them. And if someone is able-bodied, then they can walk, basically. That's how they look at things. I've looked into it quite a bit, and it actually annoys me, but that's just it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think I saw another TikTok about someone who they could walk. There was no issue walking. They had another, I think they had like a, they were autistic, I believe. And they
They
went
live
to
with autism.
I'm sorry. I'm
It's okay.
still
It's
trying to remember
okay.
to do that. I'm
It's
sorry.
okay. It's okay.
Um but they went to a theme park and they had said, "Oh, I need um help, you know, like accessing. Like I can't stand in line." And so the park person, whatever, came up with a wheelchair, and they're just like, no, I can walk. I just, I can't be in that big crowd waiting in line. Can I wait over here where it's quieter? And there's like, no, you can only sit in the wheelchair. There's like, I don't need a wheelchair.
Right.
I just can't be in crowds.
Right. So understanding different needs is important. That's probably part of our awareness, right? If I am struggling with autism or if I'm living with autism, that means I have a hard time being, I may have a hard time being in crowds or around loud noises, but I still want to be included. I still want to go on rides. I still want to take part in activities. Versus if I am struggling to walk, I want to make sure I can get into your park. Is there a ramp? Is there a easy way to get around, or a way that I can get in line without bumping into people? Right? Because that becomes probably an issue too. Because I can start raising anxiety, like, oh, I'm in a wheelchair. What if I hit someone? Will they have a reaction or whatever? And like, you're just trying to have a nice day, like, and you don't need all the extra stress, right? So,
Well,
awareness
who
is.
wants to basically, think 20 steps ahead to be
Right.
able to do a certain task?
Yeah.
Right. No one wants to do that.
That's literally what you have to do, and you shouldn't have to.
So, Marla and Shanice, what started you on this path of wanting to be disability advocates?
So the reason I wanted to be was because it was actually all just came out of nowhere. Let's just put it there. I didn't even want to be a coach. It literally just came out of nowhere. Basically, because of my neurological conditions. So I do have neurological conditions. I had my first brain surgery at the age of 7. And I got into a wheelchair when I was 10. And basically, I'm quite an open book and I share what's going on in my life. And I share the struggles or the obstacles that I overcome. But I do that anyway, I didn't even think about even doing this, And basically one day, I think it was around 2019, 2018, a man from the Spinal Cord Injury Association came to me and said, can I hear your story? And I told him about my story. And he said, have you ever thought about becoming a coach? And a life coach. I said, absolutely not. I can't do that. And it just went on from there. And I decided to basically go for it. And I didn't realize at the time that I've actually always been a kind of disability advocate. I've always spoke up about my disability. And I actually added it to my bio, basically, probably in the last 6 months. I've been a coach now for probably nearly 3 years now. But I've always done it. I just didn't realize that's what I was doing, I've always spoke up about my disability. I've always helped other people who may be in the same situation as me or I have been in. But I just didn't realize that's what I was doing. It was just me. It was just what I do,
Right.
I feel like there's something empowering and freeing it, maybe freeing and empowering when you're just like you think you can't, and then you realize, wait a minute, I'm already doing this, and here are skills to help me even get better, right?
I
Thank
love
you
what
for
I do.
sharing. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
I always knew I wanted to be a nurse, always. And so, I took the steps to be there. I started out in different positions in an outpatient doctor's office. Like I worked front desk, medical records, you name it, I probably worked there. And finally, I was able to go ahead and get into a nursing program. And then I graduated from my associate's program and I worked through my bachelor's. And then I went to do travel nursing in California, which was a lot of fun. Went to New York, hated it, too many people.
There's a lot of people in New York.
So then I decided that I was going to come back and do my master's. So went back to Alabama, that's where I was living at the time, and got my master's. So we moved to Georgia, and I was moving into a house closer to my job. And it was a beautiful day. I remember like it was yesterday, but don't ask me what year it was because I can't remember that for the life of me. But I remember that it was Memorial Day weekend and the sun was shining. I remember I just got my hair done, and it was just a beautiful day. I was drinking my favorite drink, which is Baja Blast from Taco Bell. So, yeah, like I can remember that much detail. It was beautiful. And I was in stop and go traffic on 75 South. And if you guys know anything about Atlanta, you know that 75 South is always like stop and go. So the left lane had cleared, but in the right lane, we were coming to a stop. So the 18-wheeler behind me didn't realize that we had come to a stop in the far right lane. And so he was trying to change lanes. And when he went to go change the lanes, he sped up. And like I said, we had stopped. And so he rear-ended me. So it caused a 4-car accident. And fast forward a little bit, at the time I thought that I was fine. But, that's usually how accidents happen, right? At the time you're fine, and then progressively you realize that, you're hurt worse than you thought you were. And so after seeing doctors for months, they determined that I wasn't going to be able to go back to work. And it was devastating because like I said, I always knew that I wanted to be a nurse. So to go from doing my passion, going every day, doing what I knew I was going to do and had worked so long for, to being at home all the time, it was just, I was depressed. I felt worthless and hopeless. And, I'm a single mom. And, I had a certain lifestyle in my head that my son and I, were going to have. Mm-hmm. So it was rough. But I was looking for a job. Couple years after that happened. It was probably about a year, 18 months. And I came across something that talked about health coaching. And I was like, okay, I can do that. I can do that because I can do it from home and it'll be fun. And so I looked into it. And when I was talking to the health coach, it just became very evident that if I was going to coach somebody, that I needed to be healthy too, right? I had to practice what I preach.
Right.
And I realized that I wasn't healthy. And I could stand to lose a few pounds, but I'm talking not physically again. I'm talking like mentally, I was not healthy. Mm-hmm. And so at that point, I started doing personal development, and it just turned my life around, really, because I was able to shift from I'm stuck in a hole, I don't know what I'm going to do, I can't see my way out of it, to choose your hard, right? Life is going to be hard, and it's going to be hard. Your pain is hard, but are you going to let your pain control you, or are you going to control your pain? And so from that point on, it was just a new me. It was a new me. because my mindset had changed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as far as wanting to talk about my story, during that time in my life, I just felt so alone. I felt like I was the only person who was going through what I was going through. And of course, that's not true. But,
Right.
depression, is on your shoulder going, you're by yourself. Nobody understands you. And so I thought, if I can just touch one person by talking about my story and by telling people that they're not alone or encouraging somebody to get some help, or, you know, talking about my journey. If I can encourage one person, then I would have felt better. And so that's why I started, getting on podcasts and talking about my journey. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Both of you guys are very inspiring people, and I'm so glad that you guys want to make a difference in other people's lives and let them know that we are in this human experience together and we are not alone. So, Leah, do you think it's time for a break?
Yes, let's go ahead. We'll take a quick break. And then when we come back, uh, we'll discuss ways that people can help spread awareness or become advocates or allies or whatever term we want to use for this, and what we can maybe do to help people feel more included. I know words. All right, so we'll be right back. Oh, Lamont, guess what time it is?
What time is it? Is it peanut butter jelly time? Peanut butter jelly time?
No.
Oh.
But it is time to read another thrilling episode of Am I the Asshole on Reddit.
Possibly.
All right, we are on a time constraint today, so if you're turning into our short, this may not be a time constraint for you. But if you turn into our episode, which will be linked, that this is coming from, we're on a time constraint. So we're going to keep this quick. All right? So, this is by the user Garlic Altruistic 5357. That doesn't sound like a real account, so they probably just made it to post this, because that's what we do on Reddit. All right, so the title today is Am I the Asshole for Not Taking My Sister to the ER in My New Car? I'm not going to pass
Let's find
judgment
out.
before I read the story, All right, so let's read this. My sister. Okay, so sorry. So the guy who is writing is a 31-year-old male. His sister is a 27-year-old. So my sister decided to use a power washer yesterday and cut her leg and needed 14 stitches. Okay. How? I'm not exactly sure how she managed to do this. Same. But this isn't the first incident she's had. She's frequently careless with power tools and often tries to do things herself when she shouldn't, leaving messes behind or getting hurt. Okay. I was in her neighborhood visiting a friend when this incident happened, and I guess she saw my car across the street because she called me and asked me to take her to the emergency room. Now, I have a new expensive car with leather seats, very high end. When I saw the state her leg was in, it was very messy. She didn't do a good job cleaning it up and would definitely ruin my car. I asked her where the keys were to her car and I'd take her in her car, but she said she dropped it off for maintenance that day and then started to get into my car. I said no, she should stay there and that I'd find an alternative. I went over to my friends and explained the situation and asked to take his car. He's got a beat up Toyota. He said no problem, so I took it. I got my sister to the ER and I even waited for her and took her home. But on the way home, she told me I was an asshole for making her wait around when she was in pain, and there was no reason I couldn't take her in my car. I thought I found a reasonable solution, and she wasn't even waiting that long. I'm pretty annoyed with her because I didn't need to devote my whole day to caring for her, and she should be more careful when using these tools. Am I the asshole?
Mm,
See, I had started to pass judgment on the title. Now there's story. There's backstory. Okay.
I don't think he's an asshole.
You know what? I don't think so either. So, as an older sibling, I know my younger siblings can be dumb. Right? There's one over in the room next to me. I just heard them. But oh, I don't know. Couldn't he have just got like a towel or something?
I mean, I don't think he's an asshole. I understand that he didn't want to ruin his new car. Um, the reason I don't think he's an asshole is he did find a solution. It didn't
Yeah,
take long.
this is true.
He did wait for his sister and drove her home. And then you're gonna like, I'm driving, like I waited for you. I took you there. I waited with you, and you're gonna call me an asshole on the way home? Like you're the asshole. Come on.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to agree. While I don't think it was very cool of him to make such a big deal about his car, I do get it.
Yeah.
Cars are an investment. They are expensive. And supposedly it's high end, so it was probably an expensive vehicle. And he did find a solution. So I don't know why she's making a stink, but I can also see why he would be. He's not an asshole, he's a poop. There you go. um there is a little edit down here, so he added some more
Okay. What do you say?
info. So he said, for more info, I didn't call an ambulance because she didn't want me to. She didn't want
Yeah.
to deal with them or pay a bill. So she called me instead of 911. If she went through the effort to get a hold of me, she would have had an ambulance there if she wanted it. And plus, even after the car situation, I still got her to an emergency room faster than an ambulance would have. Time wise, I really don't think grabbing towels and stuff from inside would have been much faster. My friend was just across the street. His car already had supplies and towels in case he takes his car hunting, hence why I don't think he'd care about the blood. I just thought that it was a better all around option. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree with him 100%. Like, she would have had to wait longer for an ambulance. And it sounds like she needed an ambulance because she didn't clean her leg up that well.
Yeah.
So, my first thing was like, no, I'm not taking you in my car. First of all, we can get that leg cleaned before you even get to the ER. And an ambulance can do that for you. So I would have been like, I don't care what you want. I'm calling the ambulance, kind of.
Yeah.
As the old
Had the friend's hunting truck not been there,
Yeah.
yes, I would have been like, I'm sorry. We need to get this cleaned up before you get in here because are you gonna pay to get the stains out? I get it. Okay, I'm on his side now.
Yeah, I'm on his side.
I was not on his side for a second, but I changed my mind. I'm going backwards. I'm on his side.
Same.
Sounds like she needs to be supervised while using power tools. Oh, also another edit. He had another edit. He said, I will offer to pay my friend to detail his car. Okay. Sounds like he got money. Where's he at?
Leah, you're engaged.
I know. Not like that. Like, maybe he wants to be my friend. Maybe we can be buddies. He can take me out in his car. We can go get sushi.
Oh my goodness.
And I can teach his sister how to use some power tools. Because girl needs some help. Okay. Yep. I think that was short and sweet. Thank you guys for tuning in to our shorts again. Tune into the whole episode. It was very good.
It's a good episode.
If there is anything that you guys want to send us to do like a review on,
please,
or even just some suggestions, leave them down in the comments. I do like doing Reddit reviews though, so maybe I will venture out into different realms of Reddit and see if I can find something fun and juicy for us to talk about.
Music, movies, shows, let us know.
Yes. All right. Thanks for watching. Let's get back to the topic.
And we're back.
I hope you guys had a great break. I hope you guys enjoyed that little segment that we shared with y'all. Also, if you're interested. We are putting those little short activity things, short segments, reactions. I don't know. They're changing this year. We're posting them separately now. So if you want like a shorter video to check out or share with your friends, family, loved ones, check those out. Those will be on our YouTube and possibly on our Instagram. I'm trying to figure that out. But anyway, let's get back to our topic. We are going to be discussing ways that we can either spread awareness or become advocates or allies to our friends. We said we didn't like the word disabled. To our friends. we got to find a new word for that, but yeah. Lamont, you had a small list going. Did you want to start us off and then maybe we can just like popcorn some ideas here and there if anyone has any?
So, like, you know me, like, it starts with you.
Oh gosh.
It starts with you, it starts with me, it starts with us, right? We got to model the appropriate behavior, right?
Okay.
So, social inclusion in our schools, social inclusion in our language, social inclusion at our workplaces. Like, what are you saying? How are you saying it? How are you talking about it? What are you doing to educate yourself? It starts with us modeling that appropriate behavior and hopefully spreading it on to other people. And other ways we can be more inclusive is seeing these people on screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, like sharing stories, having them included in the storytelling process. On Netflix, there's a show about this kid named Dion. I think it's called Raising Dion, and they have a girl in a wheelchair, and I think she has something else wrong with her. I don't know what it is. I shouldn't say there's something wrong with her. There's something different about her. Um, and she's literally Dion's best friend, and she helps him out, and she's a hero in her own right. And I love that. I love that she's included in that storyline and stuff. So
I thought you were gonna bring up Atypical.
what about Atypical? I
No,
love
I
Atypical.
did that. I do too. I thought
Okay.
that's the other show that you were gonna mention. Atypical is about a boy with autism, and
Yeah,
it's the
he's the
story
main
of
character.
growing up and trying to figure out how to become an adult with autism.
So I'm loving these different stories that are including these their experiences, and of course not all experiences of people living with certain things is everyone's experience, so remember that. But seeing more stories, including more stories showing that, like, hey, like, there's a story about this person, and if that story is possibly true for somebody, what can my story be like?
Mm-hmm.
It's about being open-minded, isn't it, really? You know, rather than being tunnel vision and being more open-minded to see the world in a different light, in a better light.
Yeah.
Yes. Speaking of movie screens, I mean, even The Good Doctor, you know, with the doctor who has autism or is on the spectrum, you know, that you guys don't know. You guys haven't watched The Good Doctor.
I've heard of The Good Doctor. I've never seen it.
My mother-in-law watches it, so I've seen like bits and pieces here and there. I've heard it's a pretty good show.
I'm old again. Okay.
No,
anyway.
you're good. You're good. You're good. There's so many things out there to enjoy.
But again, yeah, you know, seeing somebody who looks like them, you know, who looks like me, yeah,
definitely.
it's great. But my 10-year-old loves Raising Dion.
Okay, cool.
So
I'll have to check that one out. I haven't heard of that one.
It's really good. It's a series. I think it's 2 seasons.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, he hasn't watched the second season because I wasn't aware he watched the first, but that's another conversation.
Okay, so what other ways can we raise awareness or become advocates / allies?
I think asking them, you know, asking people what they need instead of assuming what they need.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a big one for me. Is just asking.
Hmm. I wish asking was more common, and and not frowned upon.
Right.
I just got back into working retail, and I have a coworker who I believe is possibly has autism, but it's considered rude to ask because I'd like to, he has issues at work, and people just treat it as like, oh, he's got an attitude problem. Oh, he's just a mean person. But because I think he might have autism, but I'm too scared to ask, I don't know how to kind of like interact with him sometimes. I've just been kind of treating it as such because if I ask, he could report me, if that makes sense.
Right,
Because I'm
right,
delving into his personal business.
right.
But I do wish it was more common to ask or for people to, I mean, I guess that is not really nice to say. Like, I wish people would tell if you have whatever, but I wish it was more common for that to be okay. Because if he did need any, like, like certain situations that he finds himself in, if they could be avoided by asking him if that's a situation he'd like to not be a part of, I feel like it would be helpful. But maybe that's just me coming at it from someone who does not experience these things.
No, do you know, I just want to say that actually, I don't know what it's like over there, but over here, if you apply for a job and they say, do you class yourself to have a disability?
Mhm.
And you say yes, you're less likely to get the job.
Okay.
There you go.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
is there places that, of course, that will hire? Yes,
Hmm.
but I feel that there's more of a taboo on the subject, and maybe it depends on the person if they're willing to open up in a sense of being scared to have the backlash,
Hmm.
you know.
Right.
Yeah, they're out here. They're not supposed to not hire you for that,
Yeah,
but
no, not supposed to.
guarantee. Guarantee. So I feel like there are a lot of people who don't disclose.
Yeah.
I guess disclosing still should probably be up to whoever, like if they feel
Yeah.
comfortable. But yes, I do wish it was just more common to be able to ask, or other side of it, telling people like, hey, these are the accommodations that I need in order to be here to do this job or to participate in this experience or whatnot.
So thinking about the resource gap, and it might just take a person to be like, hey, like, this is not functional for me, and then take that with like, thank you. Let me see how I can make that better for you. Because we can't think of everything, but being open. So I guess it keeps coming back to the same things. Being open minded,
Hmm.
right? Being open, willing to hear
I was just gonna say,
people,
and listening.
understand their needs,
Yeah.
listening, right? And then considering like what resources gaps you might have at your company,
Hmm.
um, for different people and how it might affect them. So
Yeah.
I guess what would be brilliant is what is your main population like and what are the issues and problems in your population. If we can like visualize the people that come into our shops or our business or whatever and issues that they might occur in daily life and think ahead, like let's solve that by this, doing this and this, and then still being open to possible changes in the future, I think that would be amazing.
Hmm.
Active communication, isn't it?
Yeah. And like asking those questions. Because I know there's a lot of people who are just like, okay, let's brainstorm how to fix this issue, but let's not include anyone who actually has this issue.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
I can't talk about that because it just goes down a rabbit hole, but for example, certain let's say doctors, etc., that think that, you know, they know because they've read a book and they know exactly how I feel, or, you know what it's like to be in chronic pain 24/7. You know, go to a pain management team. Okay, we're just going to give you lots and lots of pills, and then maybe, you know, that will work. Actually, none of them worked for me, you know. And I am not, like, I've been told so many times, you know, you can't be in pain 24/7 because you're on no medication. That's because they don't work for me, you know. I would love them too. Great. You know, I've gone on to even like straight morphine. It doesn't work. It doesn't even touch my toe. You know, it works for some people, but it doesn't mean it works for me, you know. And it's about not looking at me like I'm an alien or thinking that I'm lying. You know, I've only had literally one medical professional say to me, "Well done, Shanice, for not being on a medication." You know, everyone else looks at me like I'm a complete liar. You know, so yeah, being open-minded, back again, you know, and having communication, you know, listen. Everyone's story is different.
Yeah, so we keep hitting the same thing. So like Marla was saying, listen too, right? And follow through. So I think really to be a real true ally in this, we had to move beyond awareness. We had to take action and follow through in that action. I came across this website. They have this like 50 projects or ideas that you can turn into actions. So we will, of course, as always, link that for you guys in our description so you guys can check that out. See if this is something that you would like to do and really take an active part in becoming an ally.
And listen. No, medical advocacy could be its own dang episode because this happens in women's health. This happens in mental health. This happens in pain management. Oh my goodness. That upsets me from the women's health standpoint. But yes, I think that is a great little summary of what we should be doing and listening to. Was there anything else that you guys wanted to throw in there real quick? Because we're going to wrap up here.
I think it's just literally about, you know, talking and discussing and spreading, you know, what you believe. You know, we all have different perspective on lives and we all should be able to just talk up and maybe, you know, having a voice for people that maybe don't have the confidence to discuss certain matters, and just being a voice for them as well, not just for yourself. And hopefully in the future people will look at things in different light, you know, better light. But yeah.
Awesome.
And you know, just don't be afraid to ask for what you need. You know, I know that it's hard because, you know, we don't want to bother people, or we think that people are too busy with their own lives, or whatever lie that little voice is telling us, that people don't care or whatever. But, you know, just don't be afraid to ask people, because, you know, they don't know what you need if we don't ask. True. So, you know, ask, even if it's, you know, for help cleaning your house. Or
yes, please. Can I have one of them?
She's like, yes, ask it right now.
Yeah.
Go ahead and send your kid over. Like,
or, you know, for food, or, you know, I mean, you know, if you need some help accessing, you know, mental health care, you know, whatever you need help with.
So if people wanted to get a hold of you or wanted to talk to you about this subject or any other subject, what would be the best way for them to do that?
For me, we are on all platforms except TikTok at Educatrix, A as in Apple, P as in Paul, S as in Sam. On TikTok, it's at Educatrix Seminars. And Educatrix is spelled EDUCATRIX. And then my website is educatrixseminars.com.
All right. All
Awesome.
right.
So my website is willempowercoaching.com. Will spelled in WHEEL, like wheelchair.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Empower, EMPOWER, coaching.com. I am also on Instagram, Shanice Will Empower, Shanice Green on Facebook, or Will Empower Coaching over on Facebook as well.
All
Awesome.
right.
And as always, please check out our description where we will be linking all of this information so you guys don't have to worry about spelling or typing because I make it easy for you. Also, we work really hard on our description, so please check those out. If you're listening on Spotify, there's always a poll in our description or like a question that we want to engage with you guys. So please check that out. You can also find a link to our podcast where you can, our podcast page where you can support our podcast because this takes time to make. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, back to our guests. Enough about me. Back to our guests. Very quickly, is there anything that you two are working on that you want to just like shout out really quickly? Want to brag about?
Yes, I have a seminar coming on that will be held virtually. April the 20th. It will be up on my website. But for nurses and for nurse practitioners, continuing education hours will be given. So, and it's absolutely free. So anybody can
Nice.
come. Yeah, we're talking about nutrition and Ayurveda, which I don't know very much about. So I'm kind of excited to learn about. And then my big conference is in October in Asheville, North Carolina. And I don't remember the dates off the top of my head, but it'll be a good time. So check out my website because I know it's on there. So
I have my best-selling course, which is called Mindfulness Mind, which is like 28 days of mindfulness techniques and strategies, and you can go along it in your own pace. Being in chronic pain, I kind of know what it's like to not be able to stick to every single day, so you can work at your own pace. And I also have planners and mindfulness books on Amazon as well. So if you put in Will Empower Coaching, I'll be there. And I have some really exciting things coming up, but I can't really say too much about it. But watch this space and keep on looking on my website.
Which again is linked. Read that description, please.
Thank you, ladies, for coming on today, sharing your stories, having this conversation with us. It's been a really good time. Today's life lesson is you are not your disability. Fred Rogers from Mr. Roberts' Neighborhood once said, part of the problem with the word disability is it immediately suggests as an inability to see or hear or walk or do things that many of us take for granted. But what of people who can't feel or talk about their feelings or manage their feelings in a constructive way? What of people who aren't able to form close and strong relationships? And people who cannot find fulfillment in their lives, or for those who have lost hope, or live in disappointment and bitterness, and find in life no joy, no love. These, it seems to me, are the real disabilities. And that is definitely something to think about. Yes, disability It happens. Please remember, you are not your disability. You are so much more than that. And that is today's life lesson.